Welcome back to another episode of Behind the VR Headset. Today we have, as a guest, the developer of Sail VR. His name is Garrett. Welcome to the podcast. Garrett, how are you?
Doing well, man. Thanks so much for letting me come on here and talk about my game. I appreciate it.
I've been enjoying your game thoroughly the past, I think week or so. I've just been streaming it, and I think it's awesome. And I thought I'd get you on so people can learn a bit more about you and about the game and, you know, what's coming and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
So it's your first time in Neos, right?
Yes, it is.
And we had I showed you a couple of things, only for like 5 minutes, but you get the idea of what Neos is about, right?
Yes, it's absolutely incredible. I'm seriously blown away. This is what the metaverse is supposed to be. This is my vision for it, so I'm going to mess around with this some more, that's for sure.
Yes. What I can do at some point, I can show you around some of the worlds as well. And you went to some worlds yourself, didn't you, you said?
Yeah, I don't really remember which ones. They're just ones that kind of look pretty or like they would be fun, so I just jumped in and explored a little bit, and it was really cool.
Oh man, yeah. So I remember that first feeling of being in Neos. It's awesome. It is awesome. It's like being in VR for the first time all over again, right?
It totally is. Totally. Instantly saw the potential of it and how powerful this tool is.
Yeah.
Well done, devs. Well done.
It's awesome. I've actually showed you what I show everyone else. The first thing is always duck hunt. And then your reaction.
It's a good first thing, man. That's a good first one.
And then I pulled out the Halo Needler, and you seemed to enjoy that. Then it was the DeLorean. Then it was flying dragons, and then it was you ran around with the dog for a bit. Then I thought we better stop playing around and actually get the podcast done, otherwise we'd be here all night.
Yeah, that's the truth.
So,
man, yeah.
Garrett, tell us about where you're from. Whereabouts are you from?
Yeah, so I'm from United States, Utah. I grew up, all over the place, but I grew up mostly in Utah. Utah's a state with a lot of mountains, which is kind of funny that I'm building a game with a big ocean, and that's a part of it, right? Because there's no ocean anywhere near me. So maybe that's part of it.
Is that your personal escape, right?
Exactly.
And I did notice that we're in the same. We're twins.
Yeah, Discord shirt.
So that's the old Ready Player Me avatar. There is a lot of stuff you can do. You can go into really deep and customize the tiniest details on your face and hair and all that kind of stuff. I've not delved that deep into it. I mean, I haven't got any hair, so what am I going to customize?
There you go. Yeah, no, I was impressed. I haven't been in Ready Player Me for a little while, and so I went back in and I was pretty impressed. I feel like it got a decent likeness of myself, and then they had a lot of the clothing is where I feel like it is a little lacking, because I was just looking for some kind of plain shirt with a cool logo, and lo and behold, there was a Discord one, but that was kind of it. Not nothing too custom or anything, but I'm sure they'll get there. They're growing like crazy. You see them in everything nowadays.
Yeah, you can go into, I've been meaning to do it for ages. I did do it, but then I lost it. But you can go and you can actually edit it yourself and just put the Sail logo on your t-shirt, take the Discord one off, change the colour and all that.
Jeez. Okay, I'm going to do that someday.
Yeah. We'll sort that out for next time. And you did try to get an avatar from your game in, so we'll I know someone who can help us with that. So if you come back on, we can try and sort that out, because that'd be awesome, wouldn't it?
That would be so cool if I could be one of my enemy pirates in here and test out full body avatars before throwing them into my game. See if that works.
Yeah, that's a great idea actually. Yeah, I've got a friend, Paul from the VR Realm. He loves to help people out with Neos, and he's a top lad. He loves it. All day, every day, he's in Neos. That's all he does. If you ask him what game you've been playing lately, I was co-hosting a podcast with Mac and VR and himself a few days ago, and Mac was like, "What games have you been playing?" Neos. Any other games Neos? But I don't blame him. It is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's infinite possibility. So I could totally see getting hooked on this, but gotta manage your time somehow, right?
I was gonna say don't forget you've got a game to work on.
Yeah, exactly. So just build it in here, honestly.
Yeah. I discovered the game. I think somebody shared it with me, or I saw it. I can't remember what happened. And then obviously I've been streaming it recently. I'll go into my experiences with it a bit later on. But tell us about how it all started. What was your first ever just gaming experience? What was the first game you ever played?
Oh man, the first game I ever played was a Mario game way back on the Game Boy.
Oh.
Yeah, so that was like my first game that I ever played. But it was funny because like my family, like my mom and dad got us like Game Boys for Christmas one year. You know, we got hooked on that really fast.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden my family was like, yeah, no video games. Like we're not doing video games anymore. And so like all growing up through like my teenage years, I never had like any video games or anything like that. And one of my best friends, they're twins, they got a PlayStation 3 for Christmas in high school. And I went out and bought like $200 worth of games so I could play them on their PlayStation. So I got GTA 5, I got Black Flag, Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I built Sail is because of that game. And then Black Ops 2 and all those games. And that was like my high school experience, was playing those games way too late into the night. And yeah, like so basically from there I went and I lived in Bolivia for 2 years, right when I graduated from high school. Then when I got back from Bolivia, I was like, okay, like what am I going to do with my life? Like I need to figure out, like life and all these things, And so my brother-in-law was like, hey, go take a coding class. Like just see if coding is your thing at all, right? And I took this class and I'm like I did terrible. Like I was horrible at coding. I'd never touched a computer in my life up until this point, like for the purpose of like doing anything.
Yeah.
But even though I was horrible at it, I was hooked. Like I wanted to figure out how to make the computer do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so I retook the class and just kept going and going with it and ended up into a university program where it was for information technology to be like IT support guy somewhere. And at the IT program, there just so happened to be this professor who was running a mixed reality research lab. And so he had every single headset. This would have been 2019, I think. Yeah, like 2017, 2018. And so he had, all the latest stuff. He had like the Vive Cosmos, he had, the Rift. And when the Index came out, this was like right around when the Valve Index came out, like we got that like right off the bat. And so I joined his research lab, started working with him. And that's how I got hooked on like virtual reality. And his class, like basically what he would do is he would bring in students and we had the semester of college to build or prototype some kind of experience in VR, some kind of application or whatever. And so that's how I learned how to use Unity, which is the game engine that I've used for Sail. And like it's just like it just kept going from there. Like I worked for that professor after I took his class and learned how to use Unity. And around the university, me and this other kid that I took the class with, who's like been a really good friend of mine, we became the experts, of VR and AR technology on campus. And so we had professors and students and businesses coming and consulting us to know like how to make VR happen, which was just like the craziest experience. And so I got involved with a couple of different startups. Nothing really ever panned out or played through. But then 2020, I was still in college, and 2020 hit, right, with the COVID pandemic and whatnot. And I was lucky enough to have like a student job that allowed me to work remote and also continue doing classes. And so, but I did not like that job. It was I was a system admin at the university. I was managing servers and whatnot, right? But like I just like there was one day where I was working, like an 8-hour day and had classes and everything. And like at the time, I was not only working that job, but I also was working as a research assistant for that same professor that I was mentioning. And then I was also I'd just gotten my first like Unity developer gig with another professor building a Unity game. And so I was working 3 jobs, plus my janitor job. So 4 jobs. I was working 4 jobs at the time. And like I was just sitting there at a computer managing servers. I was like, dude, this is dumb. Like I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. So I had this idea in my head, like there needs to be an open world VR pirate game. There just needs to be that. Like that, I had been watching VR, like I was so hooked on it. I watched the news, I watched all the new stuff that was coming out, and I was like, this is missing. You know, like VR is gonna be about not just having like a gaming experience, but also like being and doing something you cannot do in real life. And people love pirates. How is there not more pirate games? You know, and so I opened up Unity and built just this super simple demo. It was just the ship sailing endlessly backwards, and you could walk around on it, right? And I put that out on SideQuest, and I was like, guys, this is Sail, and I really I want to make an open world VR pirate game. What do you guys think? And SideQuest was still pretty young at that time, I feel like.
Yeah.
So tons and tons of people were checking like new apps every single day. And my stupid demo got like 250 downloads like in the first day, which just blew my mind. I was like, people want this, you know?
Yeah.
And so I turned the ship around, right? Like I fixed the demo. I started putting in cannons and just slowly started adding features, you know? And yeah, I just kept working and working on it in my spare time. And yeah, like here we are 2 years later. It's my full-time job. Like we're finally up on App Lab, and I've got some crazy stuff behind the scenes that's gonna just like blow people's mind when I can finally talk about it. But yeah. Just cool stuff. Just cool stuff. Anyway.
Oh, cool. That's quite a crazy journey. And I have a question. Do you think if you weren't kind of not allowed to play video games, that you would have taken this path?
I don't know, because like I was hooked on video games regardless.
Yeah.
So I have a little brother. Me and him both, like we would buy video games for our friends so we could go and play them. And like eventually in ninth grade, we had to write a persuasive essay. And I wrote it to my grandparents saying, buy me an Xbox 360. And my argument was, if I get what I want, I get extra credit for persuading you, you know?
Yeah.
And so like my grandparents bought an Xbox 360 and they lived close by. So me and my brother would just go over there and play video games. And my parents, I feel like at that point, my parents were kind of like, well, they're going to play video games anyway, but at least their grandparents, like they can do it over there and not bother us. Because me and my brother, when we play video games, we're loud, man. Like we scream, we yell, like it's a hoot and a holler. But yeah, I don't know. Like I'm just kind of the person who like looks back and is like, yep, that just perfectly paved the path to where I'm going. So I don't know. What if, right?
I think you would you probably would have gone down the same path, to be honest. Like the way you've talked about your passion for video games and things like that. What films inspired you? Okay, what films and what games inspired you to make a pirate game in VR?
So obviously the biggest inspiration is Sea of Thieves. Like I just love that game. And one of the things that I love about like Sea of Thieves is the simplicity. One of the things that I feel like video games have just gone overboard with lately has been complexity. You know, there's like you can upgrade like the scope on guns and stuff like that, and it's like, dude, that's just too much detail. Like people love jumping into, I mean, this might just be personal opinion, but like I love jumping into simple games, and what sets you apart from other players is just your skill, you know?
Yeah.
And then just giving them, like, I love sandbox games. I've always loved games where like it's the same experience every time, but it's different because of just like things that happen, you know? So Sea of Thieves was huge. And like I mentioned, like I played Black Flag all through high school with my friends on their PlayStation 3. And like I love that game. Like the feeling of the Caribbean and sailing around and just being this bad A pirate was just so cool to me. Like that was just one of those experiences where I was like, I am a pirate. I am this cool guy who like is doing all these crazy things, you know? And so like that's definitely been one of my big motivations in Sail, is to have people have that same experience. Like I want people to feel like I am a pirate. This is so bad to be sailing on a ship and shooting down ships and climbing and exploring and blah blah blah. And once multiplayer is added in, that's gonna be like a huge thing as well. As I want people to be able to show off their reputation, what they've done, what they're known for, you know? So yeah, I mean, those are two big ones. Obviously, like Pirates of the Caribbean, like the Pirates in the Caribbean area, like, it just works. Like it's just a beautiful beautiful artistic way of going about it. And then yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, and last one, my favorite Disney movie is Treasure Planet.
Okay.
So that's another one that's kind of inspired more of the like treasure hunting side of things a little bit. Anyway, but yeah, so.
Oh, cool. Yeah, because it's good to. That's why I create this podcast, to kind of learn a bit more about people. It's called Behind the VR Headset, so it's like learn a bit more about yourself and like other developers and people that create content. So it's cool for everyone else as well to learn about how you got inspired and how you got into it, because there's a lot of people out there who are considering like game development and things like that. So it's good to hear.
I could go on for hours with like advice for aspiring game devs. Like if anyone wants to talk to me about that, like hit me up. I'm happy to talk to people.
Yeah, there you go, guys. I had someone on Moby's Gaming my previous episode. He started developing his own little game and stuff in VR, so I'm sure he'll be hitting you up as well. It's
yeah, I'd love to talk.
Yeah, man. I mean, the VR community is so cool. It's totally different to like the normal gaming community, isn't it? It's like everyone's so friendly.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Like I mean, like just talking about that, like my game is not perfect, you know. Like we're 1 week post launch, and the list of bugs that I need to fix right now it's enormous, you know. But like everyone who's left reviews has been so kind. They've been like, hey, here's this bug. I'm still giving you a 4-star review because I really think this is gonna be great, you know.
Yeah.
And like the Discord has just been awesome about like sending me videos like, hey, this is wrong, which is just so helpful for me to be able to like jump in and know exactly like what's going on. Oh dear, my family.
Sorry. Yeah, so I was looking last night at your Steam page and the reviews, and just I answered a couple of questions because I had an issue with the index controllers, and thank you very much for fixing that, because that really did help a lot.
No problem, man.
And once you fixed it yesterday, I looked through all of the questions on your Steam, and if it was to do with the index controller, I literally answered all of them, saying it works now, it works now, it works now.
Oh, thank you so much.
Because I know,
I really appreciate that.
no, man, I love your game. We'll talk about more about my experience and things like that, but it does make you feel like this really does make you feel like a pirate. And it's great to stream as well, because it's really popular with people watching, and a few people have bought copies of the game, more than a few actually, just by watching the stream and stuff like that. So I like to promote indie games and kind of spread the word a bit more.
Yeah, so I super appreciate it, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, mate. It's my pleasure. I wanted to ask you, you did say about your VR, you know, when you were learning VR and things like that. What was your actual first VR experience then? The first time you actually put a headset on?
So my first experience was with the Rift. It was the Oculus Rift, and the first game that I jumped into was actually Echo VR.
Motion sickness?
Yeah. That zero gravity was just like, oh my gosh. Yeah. So I got out of Echo pretty fast. But let's see. I did Echo, and then what did I do next? There's this free demo on the, I want to say it's the Rift store called Aircar, which is just another motion sickness simulator. But yeah, I jumped into that, and then obviously like Beat Saber, I was like, okay, I don't want to be motion sick anymore, so I jumped into Beat Saber and tried that out. But one of the first experiences that I remember trying that like really impacted me, and I was like, oh my gosh, VR is going to change the world, is a little experience called Berlin Blitz 1945, which it's more of like a cinematic experience, but they actually put you in a B-22 bomber in World War II using the audio from an actual mission where they flew from England over to Berlin to do a bombing run. And so like you're sitting there in this actual World War II plane, you're seeing the pilots piloting, you look out the windows and you're seeing anti-air guns like exploding all over the place. And at one point there's an actual like fighter that comes in and like shoots at you, and you feel that, you experience that. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is going to revolutionize everything. Because like, I mean, like I was like picturing, like imagine if your history class had you do that, and you like, you know, actually got to feel the boots of the soldiers that were in World War II and stuff, you know, like it was an emotional experience for me. I was like, I gotta be in VR, man. Like this is gonna be insane. So yeah, those are my first experiences that I had. So.
Yeah, I remember I did do the Berlin one. I remember that because my brother came around and he just made me download every World War II experience there is in VR. So there are some other ones, isn't there? Like in the trenches and stuff. I've forgotten what they were called. But
I haven't tried those ones, but yeah, there's so many. And they're so
yeah.
good. Like it's powerful to like feel like you're in those stories and experiences. So
Yeah, I think that's where VR differs from like a normal kind of PC game, because you're so immersed, like your brain and like everything thinks is kind of real, and you kind of tend to have a more kind of a memory of it, if you get what I mean.
yeah,
Because you're actually inside it. It makes more of a like an imprint in your mind.
it sticks with you. It definitely sticks with you.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
with Sail, when did you start making it? Did you say it was 2 years ago?
Yeah, so July 13th, 2020 was the day that I was like got fed up and I was like, I'm gonna try this. Like this is my idea. I'm gonna put it out there for the world.
Yeah.
That's when I put that demo out there where the boat would sail backwards. So yeah, it's been about 2 years, just over 2 years now.
Okay.
Pretty crazy.
And what made you kind of get to that point where you're just like, right, I'm gonna get started. Like this is it. I'm gonna do it. Did you just have enough one day of what you were doing, or how did you get to that point?
Man, I don't know. Like, so, like I was saying, because of like my expertise in the VR world at the university, I got involved with a couple of startup companies.
Yeah.
And I really liked the startup feel. Just like the whole working environment, wearing multiple hats in like a game or in a job environment, not being stuck to like one thing. I really, really like that. But unfortunately, like all of the startups that I was involved with kind of just like fell apart or just like none of them like worked out, obviously, right?
Yeah.
And so I was always thinking like, okay, like what would I do in the VR world? What would I do in the VR world? And like like obviously I've loved gaming so much. I was just like, oh man, I'd love to make video games. And so I just kept looking like where's a space in the VR sector that I can make a game that isn't available yet. And obviously like that's where the idea for Sail came from. And then on top of that, like I was saying, like I was sitting at my computer, working my job, and I was just like, I do not want to do this 8 hours a day for the next 40 years, Like, I didn't want to die in someone else's office, right? I wanted to be my own boss and my own thing, and like I just truly wanted to like shape VR. Like I just saw, because I'd worked in a research lab where, like we built pretty crazy and cutting edge experiences. Like I just saw the potential and I saw like how good and big it could be. And so I just wanted to like help that. And so like I figured like gaming has always been a big part of every industry. So I might as well contribute to gaming, So yeah, that's kind of the gist of it.
Yeah, I guess with games like Sail, it's one of those games in VR. There's a lot of games in VR that come out all the time, but there's so many specific games like Sail, and then that's like kind of like Sea of Thieves, and then RFVR that's kind of like Skyrim, that people just haven't actually started making, or they thought it would be too much of a big task, or for whatever reason. So there's a lot of games that I'm sure everybody sees and be like, if it had that mixed with this game here, then you'd have a great game.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because like, for the last like year, I've worked with like an actual game designer and an actual game team. And the reason why I feel like a lot of these big companies are avoiding like VR and especially like big project ideas like Sail is the gaming industry has a very high like quality assurance level that they just feel like they have to hit in order to like launch a successful project, which is like true. I mean, like look at Cyberpunk 2077, like that launched, there was tons of glitches and bugs and whatnot, and it just got murdered, crucified, right?
Yeah.
And so like with like VR and stuff, like VR just totally breaks so many traditional gaming conventions and like design philosophies and so many things. Like I did a lot of arguing with the game designer that I worked with because he had made a VR game before, but he's not a VR gamer like I am. Like I genuinely consider myself to be a VR expert.
Yeah.
And like he's an incredible game designer. Don't get me wrong. He made a game that actually went to EA and won the college competition, and he was the game director over that. So like he's a very talented guy. But it was interesting as I worked with him to realize like, oh my gosh, like professional game designers and whatnot have this level of like quality they're trying to hit, but like that's really hard to hit in VR unless you're doing something small like what we're seeing most of the time put out on like the official store. And so it sucks because we don't get the AAA companies coming down to our level, but it is great for like indies like me who are like, I'm gonna take that task on and I can fill that area, and it's a perfect space to like just fill in the gaps. And just kind of a weird thing about VR and VR gaming.
Yeah, I get you. That's why I love indie games and not promoting indie games and things like that, because it's just like kind of usually one or two, a small handful of people, and they all kind of share the same vision kind of thing. And it's not like a massive company and everyone's chopping and changing, and you just kind of crack on with it. And then like you did, you put it out on App Lab. Was it App Lab you said, yeah? And
yep. So, originally SideQuest, and then we got it on App Lab.
Yeah. So then also you got early access, and it's just like you get it out and just let people know, look, this is the beginning or something, and we're working on it, and you get feedback from the community. Like you've got quite a lot of feedback from just everybody. Yeah, tons. Your Discord's pretty active as well. There's a lot of people on there. The general consensus is everyone's loving the game. I really enjoyed playing it. I was streaming it earlier today. I streamed it 4 times now, I think. And from when I first started, I was like, oh wow, this looks really cool at the start. And then you get into to the base area, and then you're like, oh wow, this looks great. And you start off with a little tiny raft, and it's actually quite fun to go shooting around in because it turns really fast, and you've got the speed and stuff, right? And then you can choose a quest. So there's different levels, isn't there? So there's bronze, silver, gold, and diamond, right?
Yep, that's what we got right now. Yep.
And then you can go treasure hunting. You can go to random spots in the map and try and find treasures. You've got like a kind of metal detector that you can search around with as well. There's also like little quests that you do as well. So like the different tier quests that you get. And I found that really cool. And then you get like written clues as well. And then you got like little riddles, aren't they? Like kind of like in Sea of Thieves, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And they're bad, but they'll get better.
No, I found they're quite cool because you have to think about, hold on, what does that mean? And you got to use your brain. Because I spent quite a bit of time yesterday with the detector trying to find hidden treasure. But then I was like, no, that can't be that. And then I ended up finding out where it was. But that's part of the whole experience, right? You don't want to just like be like X marks the spot. Here you go, just dig it up, and so you got to use your brain a bit. I do really enjoy the game, and you've got the voice command. So you've got the anchor up and down. You've got the sail up and down as well. You've got the unlock helm as well, isn't it, to straighten the wheel out?
Yeah, I actually had to take that out because it was causing some serious issues. I'm reworking a lot of the voice commands right now just because lots of people have like, one, they don't know they're actually turned on, so I'm actually going to turn them off by default and then let people turn them on if they want to.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's like the unlock helm. For some reason, anytime you said anything close to like helm or like unlock or lock, it would freeze they would freeze their ship and they would just be stuck going in circles. So
okay.
That's one of those bugs that we're just like, it's not super necessary right now, so we just cut it out. So
yeah. But I noticed that you let go of the wheel and it just locks automatically now, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's really cool though. I like the voice commands. A lot of people who watch your stream be like that. They said that's really cool. Like simple voice commands. What gave you that idea then to do the voice commands?
Well, so originally we were trying to make it so that you had like a crew. Like we were gonna make it so that like you would go onto the port and you would hire crewmen, and then you would bring them onto your ship and you'd be able to like assign them to do tasks.
Yeah.
That particular element is totally inspired by one of my favorite games, which is Republic Commandos, right? I loved that game growing up. That was one of the ones that I played all the time, and I loved like the simple, like just you have this crew and you can have them do simple commands and stuff. I thought that would be super super compelling in a pirate game because everyone's trying to figure out like how to incorporate like a crew, and obviously like multiplayer is going to be the best way to incorporate a crew. But I thought for like single player, like hey, let's try to get it so that we can get these AI to like jump off with us and fight on the land as you're doing these treasure hunts and whatnot. But unfortunately we kind of ran out of money and kind of had to axe that. So you're like, okay, we need some kind of like temporary solution because it's really hard to manage those ships when you're just a solo, right? And so we found this package on the Unity Asset Store that was like, hey, easy voice commands works on mobile. And we downloaded it and just, it took us like 20 minutes to experiment and see if we could get it working. And like the developer that I was working with, he's like, dude, it works. I was like, you're kidding. He's like, no, dude, it works. I was like, we're throwing that in. Like, put it in right now. And so, now we got voice commands.
Oh, nice. Because people in my stream call it Alexa.
That's so funny.
Alexa, sail up and all that kind of stuff.
USS Alexa, I love it.
Oh yeah, and then I love like naming the ships and getting the chat involved. Like, what should we call this ship and stuff. It's just a great adventure. Like today, I went on and had a diamond tier, which is pretty tough. So yes, the previous stream, I did the diamond tier, but I think I got really lucky with what I did, and I got away with it. And then today, it took me 3 attempts, and I figured out a way to do it, and it wasn't easy, but I managed to do it. And then you get a ton of money. So different tiers have different amounts of money you get, and then depending on how much money you have at the end of the mission, you can upgrade what tier pirate you are, isn't it? So how many tiers are there at the moment?
So right now I think there's 5. You've got like your base, which is Scallywag, and then you have I think it goes Scallywag, Buccaneer, Privateer, Captain, and then the top one is
Pirate King.
Pirate King. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I think I'm at Captain. So each time you level up, you get a multiplier, isn't it? It goes up by 1, like a gold multiplier.
Yeah, that's the idea. And it's supposed to help you like be able to collect gold faster and whatnot. But that's one of the things that like I'm trying to figure out how people want to progress in the game. Because like we have that progression system right now, but I wonder if that would almost be more fun as a game mode, right? Where like you go and try to collect as much treasure as possible, throw it down on the pawn table, and see like, oh, that was a Pirate King run. Congratulations, unlock achievement or something like that. So that's one of the things that I'm like thinking through in my head and getting community feedback on is like, how do we want to do the progression system in the long run, because like right now that's very like I love achievement based progression. Like I think that's cool, and especially in like a pirate game where like your reputation, I want like your reputation to speak for you. I feel like achievement based reputation or like progression system would work, but we'll see like a lot of things could change in the next little while.
Yeah, so that's the thing with you're developing. It's kind of on the fly. All these ideas come up from yourself and the community, and you're like, "What's going to work?" Or what's the best is like when it's what the community wants. I found that with developers, some developers kind of don't listen to feedback. I've seen that a lot, and it's just like they want it the way they want to make it, which is fair enough. It's your game.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah,
but that's been one of my things is like I really wanted the community to be very involved with this. I wanted to be very transparent with them, and like I'm making it for them. So like if you guys want something, like I should at least consider it. And if it comes up multiple, that's what I've found is like almost everything I've added in the game, like it's come up multiple times before I start developing it. People will say, like add this, and then I'll be like, okay, yeah, sure, I can do that,
Yeah.
So like it's been a really cool experience, and I feel like it's also helping just to like have a good community around the game because people can literally say, like, oh yeah, I helped get that feature put in. Like
Yeah.
we have this feature that not a lot of people know about, but when you jump into the game and go into the world, there's a rubber duck that spawns somewhere random in the world.
Yes.
And if you can find it and shoot it, it's worth $50,000. So like it's a good bump in any voyage that you're trying to accomplish. And that idea literally came from one of our live streams, just talking to the community, and someone was like, guys, like what if we put in a rubber duck? And we were sitting there, we're like, that would actually be really fun. Just like a random thing that spawns in the world that you can go out, explore, and find. Like, I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
And so that's now there's a rubber duck in the game, and it's thanks to the community. And it's a fun little feature that we have. So yeah.
I've heard about the infamous rubber duck. I've heard about it. I've heard about it. I will come across it at some point. There's also like pearls, isn't there, dotted around the world? And you told me where one was. I haven't managed to find another one. So I think that might be because I've only been to the islands where they set missions. I haven't been to a lot of the islands still because it's quite a big world, right?
Yeah, and I need to put more in as well. I think right now there's only like one. I think the one I showed you might be the only one in the game right now, actually.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to put in more, and the reason I'm trying to do that is I actually pulled my Discord to see like what kind of gamer are you, and the options were like an explorer, achievement guy, killer, or social. Just trying to see like which direction should I take it based on my community, and the majority of people said that they were explorers. Like that was the one that they vibed with, and I was like, okay, well let's figure out something to give these explorers that'll be fun in the game. And I figured doing something like the mini kits in Lego Star Wars. Because that there you go. There's another game I wasted my brain on as a kid. There's those mini kits, right, in the Lego Star Wars game where you go back through and you'd find those hidden objects, and it was so satisfying. And then it unlocks something at the end. So like that's what I'm doing with the pearls right now. I also want to make it potentially like a currency in the future for like buying cosmetics and stuff. Like if you find pearls, it'll help you buy like cool customization stuff. But again, like goals, things coming in the future. Lots to work on.
Yeah, that's a great idea to have specific store for pearls, and then maybe rubber ducks, and just things like that where you can buy like one-off items. I think that'd be pretty cool, and maybe you can make it like the sail on your ship. It could unlock something like that, like a rubber duck on your sail. I mean, that would be so funny.
There you go, yeah. Unlock the rubber duck sails. Bright yellow.
Yeah, and then like figureheads you get for the the end of your ship. And obviously it's early days yet, so this is just stuff you've already heard already. But there's so many different things you could add to it. And that's the great thing with early access, is that you listen to the community and you're getting the basics done, getting the basics right, and trying to add what you can, right? What people kind of request at the same time.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
What's your goal? Like when the game's finished and it's all wrapped up in a nice parcel, ready for full release, what is the goal? Like, is it going to have a storyline? And what are you thinking?
So this is the thing, is there's an infinite amount of things that I want to add to this game.
Yeah.
Which is another reason why I love Sea of Thieves, because Sea of Thieves is a game that has been around for a really long time. And I feel like it's going to be around for a really long time. And I love that idea for sale as well. Like, I'd love to make a game that people can keep coming back to. There's new stuff, there's new weapons, enemies, storylines, and whatnot like that. So, I mean, I guess what my full release version of the game would be like a very perfect sandbox that I can build all these continuous things on top of, like, for the next, 10, 20 years, right?
Yeah.
Like I want the game to be a pirate experience that someone could jump into for 20, 30 minutes and have a good time, or someone could jump into for 16 hours and still be wanting more.
Yeah.
I want this to be pirate sandbox adventure that people can just have, and that'll make a dent in the VR community for years and years to come.
Nice. Yeah, because that's the great thing with this game is, my favourite games are open world, exploration, and I like stealth games and things like that. But open world exploration is something that I think most people that I know love open world exploration. And with your game, there's something to do everywhere. I've noticed where I've done the hunting and all that stuff, treasure hunts and things like that. there's always something to do, or you can just stop at an island and try and get more, smash some barrels, but then enemies come and things like that. So it's always keeping you on your toes. Like today when I did the diamond mission, it was like go to one treasure chest and then something happens. I'm not going to spoil it for people who haven't played it yet. And then you got to go somewhere else and something else happens. Then you got to go somewhere else and then something else happens. And then you got to go back to the port. And then you got to deal with a whole load of pirate ships that are just blocking your way to go back into your hideout and like save your gold and stuff. And I love that about the game because it's constant. It was tense. It's pretty tense. I was sweating, mate. I was sweating for about an hour. I was telling the people in my stream, I was like, man, this is tough, man. But it was so fun. Even when I turned it off, I was still smiling. I was like, wow, that was an awesome experience. It's crazy. Like, it must be great to get all the positive feedback from everybody.
Yeah, it's so rewarding as a game developer hearing stuff exactly like that, like hearing that people are smiling. Like that's what I want my game to be, like video games made me smile as a kid, and like it can make other people smile, but that's what I want.
With regards to things that you're gonna add, so you said you're gonna add more ships, right?
Potentially.
Maybe? Okay.
I've been messing when it comes to ships. I've been messing around with the idea of creating more of like a class system with the ships.
Oh yeah.
So the way that obviously like this is all tentative. I just want to mess around with it and see if this works because I feel like this would translate a lot better over to multiplayer. But the class system, essentially what it would be is there would be a ship that's like designed for loot, right? They would be really good for like collecting treasure and whatnot. And then there would be like the warship where like that's what you want to go and take if you want to just go kill stuff. And then there would be a speed ship where like it is built for speed, not a lot of firepower, but like it'll get you places fast. So like if someone wants to like speed run or something like that.
Yeah.
And so those are kind of the three classes that I'm considering making with the ships right now.
Okay.
So again, it's just kind of one of those things that I'm toying around with, trying to see like, which direction, because like people love the ship upgrade system.
Yeah.
And I would love to expand on that. And I feel like if we made like a class system where there were actually 3 different ships that you could like, first off, purchase each one, then choose which one you want to go on. And then as you go through the game, you can level them up. And then, like you get more cannons for them or increase their like storage capacity, blah, blah, blah. Like, I feel like that would be super fun gameplay for people and not very complicated, keep it super simple, but it would give people more to do and feel like this is my ship. It's survived these things.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. That does sound really cool because at the moment I am on, I think, the 4th ship. And
nice.
I started on the raft. And I was like, this is really cool. It's actually quite fun. I had like a little raft. This is a couple of meters wide by a couple of meters with a cannon on it. And you could just zip around and it's like, oh, this is really cool. And then as you progress, I unlocked something a bit bigger. And then I did another even bigger one. Now I've got a pretty big one. It's like, it's got 10 cannons on each side.
Yeah,
and
you
it's
get the warship.
so much. Yeah, the warship. And it's literally... I didn't get to really use it. I played around with it because it's towards the end of the stream. I thought, okay, I better end the stream. And it's awesome, mate. Like, I'm not going to spoil it for people, but there's 2 little levers, and they were like, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That was
exactly
great.
What you're talking about.
Because when I saw the model, I was like, how's that going to work? It was in my mind that what happens. And then when I saw it, I was like, yeah. That's insane. And then there's even another ship after that as well. So there's a lot of stuff. Even it's early access, there's still a lot of stuff to do. And it's not easy to get up to the next ship. It's going to take quite a lot of work.
Yeah, the last ship will take you some time.
Yeah. And I don't mind because it's so fun. Like the Diamond Quest is so hard, but it's so rewarding. But it's not like fetch this and then go back here. It's like... fetch this, survive this, then you've got to get to the next bit, survive all the attacking kind of pirate ships that come around and stuff. Then you've got to go somewhere else and then enemies come and then it's so cool, like hopping from island to island. It's just a really great concept for the game. I've been enjoying it a lot. And, like I said, a few people on the stream have gone and bought the game and they've said they love it. And a lot of people been asking a lot of questions about the game, how it works, and can you show me this, can you show me that? And it's been really good feedback from everyone, so
That's great.
Yeah, it is a great game. Would you consider? I'm guessing you are considering. You're probably working on it. Like, are you going to do more enemy types and kind of classes for different enemies and things?
Probably. One of the things I want to mess around with more is actually like how you engage with enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Like on the ships and stuff, like I really want to add like skill shots, right? Like I want to make it so that like if you shoot down the mast of one of the ships, like they'll stop and then you can go and board them and steal all their loot, or you can choose to just shoot them down. Like that's the kind of stuff that I want to add. And then like when it comes to like land combat is one of the things I feel like needs a lot of work. It just needs to feel a little bit better when you're like hitting those like enemies as they pop up and stuff. So like those things need a lot of polish before I add more.
I guess yeah.
But I think the first enemies that I'll probably add in addition to these guys will be something like the Kraken or like a giant crab or like a sea snake or something like that. Like I really want to add those kind of like things. So that's the next one.
Yeah, a lot of people have requested the Kraken as well, because I think that would be insane in VR as well. Like I know there's a couple of VR pirate games. I've forgotten the name of them.
Yeah, there's a couple. There's not very many on like the Quest though, like specific to the Quest. But yeah, there's like Battle Wake and stuff. Battle Wake was really fun. Yeah, that one had a really good like sailing mechanic, and I actually tried to like copy it as much as I could. But like this is the thing that really bothered me about VR games or VR pirate games when I started making mine. I was like, you're just stuck. Like they stick you in that one spot and make you do everything from right there. And I was like, come on, like let me wander around the ship and put the sails down and whatnot. So that was something that I really wanted to do with my game, was make sure that like you got to explore and roam around and fire the cannons because you were actually firing them, not because you pulled the trigger from your helm, you know? So
I totally get that, because the game you mentioned, I've had it in my library for over a year, and I never played it for that exact same reason. You know, when a game comes and say, "Oh yeah, pirates and VR," but I never played it because I was like, I want to run around the boat. That's the first thing I did, is to run around the boat, play around with like the cannons and all that kind of stuff. Because it's VR and it's so immersive, you want to be immersed. You don't want to press a button to fire a cannon. You want to be like aiming the cannon yourself and all that kind of stuff. And I really love like in games like Bullet Drop. And the way you got to aim the cannon higher and direct it, and if you've got to kind of predict where the projection's going to go while the other ship's moving, or even when you're both moving, is even harder shot, and that just makes it so much more immersive and fun.
Exactly. I mean, like, and that's right there is one of the examples of where VR breaks traditional game design.
Yeah.
Because in traditional game design, you try to make it as easy as possible for your player to do things. And so you do things like what Battle Wake does, where it's just like you point that way and you give them a UI that shows exactly where the cannon's going to drop. You know, like those are the things that in traditional game design, like you do. But like VR really takes more from like the simulation side of things, where like you want to experience it almost as it is in real life. Like obviously, like in my game, you don't reload the cannon true to life, right?
Yeah.
Like I used to have it so that you did reload it true to life, where you had to like stuff it in the front and then shoot it. But like what I call it is people want practically reality. Like they want it to be real enough that it's fun, but not so real that it's tedious because it's real life, you know? And so like, that's one of the things that VR gamers understand, is that like, I want to walk around the ship. I want to fire the cannon. I want to, you know, climb up the sails and stuff. But like traditional game designers are kind of like, nah, let's make this simple, and that way we can QA it really well, and it'll just be perfectly polished, which it is. Like, you know, Battle Wake is a really polished game, and it's really fun. Yeah, it is fun. But, you know, like, it's not like a classic, I don't think. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, that was Servios, isn't it? It did get mixed reviews. I remember when that first came out. But like what you were saying, it's like it's VR pirating, not like a pirate simulator. Like otherwise, you'd have to like scrub the deck and do all kinds of daily tasks and all that.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Yeah, so there is certain things like the cannon loading where you got to give a bit of leeway and be like, are people really going to want to put the cannon in and push it down and then light a fuse? And some people might want to do that, and maybe that's something you could add later down the line if people wanted to really do that. But I like the arcade, like I said, arcade feel to it, but not too arcadey. So
Yep.
yeah.
It's a sweet spot. It really is. Like it's hard to find that sweet spot because like there are other VR pirate games where they did exactly that, where like you had to load it in the front or like load it and shoot it with like a stick and whatnot. And like for some people, you're right. Like there are the sim enthusiasts who they want to do that. But I feel like for like the majority of like VR people, they want exactly that. Like not too real, but like real enough to give you that high of I don't even know what you'd call it. Just like the experience. I don't know.
Yeah. No. I think that what you've implemented is really good. For me, anyway, personally, it works really well. And another thing that people have been asking is about things like weather dynamics and day-night cycle. I know you did touch on it in the chat with me. Do you want to tell us a bit more about what your plans are and what you think you're going to be doing?
Yeah, so like one of the big problems in the game right now is for sure like sailing kind of gets boring, right? Like there's those big long stretches and as pretty as the artwork is, like it's not gameplay, you know, like looking around is cool and like it's a cool experience because you're in VR.
Yeah.
But like we need something to keep you entertained while you're sailing around. And so like we've discussed like weather, like that's definitely a possibility. Like weather could be fun. Everyone keeps asking for waves and people don't realize we actually tested it and it made us so sick. Like it is a vomit simulator at that point. Like rocking around, I mean like if you've been on a real boat, you know like rocking around messes with your brain, but like when you're on a VR ship and your brain thinks you're rocking around but you're not rocking around, like it is 10 times worse. So I don't think we're ever going to do waves. We might add in like wind to be able to do like adjusting of the sails for like better speed and stuff on the game. I think that's really compelling. It could be fun. Yeah. I don't want there to be anything tedious, you know, like you were saying earlier, like no one wants to swab the deck in a VR pirate game. Like that's a lame job. And I worry that like maybe like the sails might feel like a lame job on the pirate ship. So we'll test around with that. But like, yeah, weather I think would be really fun to somehow add in, you know, like a hurricane or a tornado or like a sinkhole or whatever. I think that could be really cool. Trying to think of what else. Yeah, like that's one of the things that I'm going to be working on pretty soon once I get through the massive list of bugs that I'm patching. Is experimenting with like different ways to make the like sailing around fun. And so like weather could definitely be possible with that. That's one of the things I'll probably look into. Day-night cycle, we actually had a day-night cycle before, and this is the other problem with this game is like the hardware is so limited, you know? Like I'm primarily developing for the Quest 2, and it's actually been really fun to port over to Steam, which is what you've been playing. And like it is so cool to see the game with the power of a PC, you know, because we can do so much more. But this is just kind of one of the common problems with VR developers right now is the money is in Oculus. Like you have to support this Android device that at this point it's like what the Quest 2 is 2-3 years old now. Like it's starting to get outdated. And so it's hard to like develop for it and keep it like working because that's not like I mean it's a phone strapped to your head and even at that like it's still very limited. And on top of that, like Oculus right now makes us support even the Quest 1, which like I'm happy to support the Quest 1. Like I want all my users to like experience that, but I mean like in our game right now the Quest 1, like we have to check if you're using the Quest 1, and if you are, we like down res the game like to infinity, and so it looks like a PlayStation 1 game. And we actually had to take out like the port and most of the gameplay because it just like it would crash the game. And so like the Quest 1 version of the game right now is basically like go around and solve random treasure hunts and fight the games like that. I'm gonna go back in and fix it and like make it more like what's on the Quest 2, but like it's hard to add in all these things when like our primary platform is so limited hardware wise. And so let's hope for Quest 3 this fall.
Yeah, I get what you're saying though, because you've got the Quest 1, then the Quest 2, then you've got PC VR, and it's like where's the balance, right? So I mean, the medium would be the Quest 2 at this point, wouldn't it? It's kind of in the middle. And so like how did the waves perform on the Quest 2? You know, when you have the waves and stuff, did it not like motion stick wise, but did it run okay or?
no, it murdered performance
Yeah, I
for
thought it
whatever
would.
reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know like enough about how like the shader works, but something
Mm,
about like that displacement of the wave just it was murdering performance. Because like we were trying to keep in like a little bit of waves to like make it have like that cool shoreline effect. Because
yeah.
on the Steam version, that's what we have. Like we have just enough waves to give you that cool like waves lapping up against the shore feeling.
Yeah.
But on the Quest, it was not having it, and like we were really cut for like performance. And we were like, okay, like what can we cut to see to hit, because you have to hit a certain performance goal in order to be on App Lab and whatnot. And so like we were just like taking things out, see how it performed and put it back in. And the biggest thing that gave us tons of performance was taking out that wave.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure someone smart someday will figure out how to do it performantly. And when we gets there, we'll for sure consider it again. But I mean, for now, like it's fine. It's pretty
Yeah.
enough, guys. It'll be all right.
No, it is really pretty. It looks great. And someone did ask me about the waves, and I thought the exact same thing. I thought performance and motion sickness as soon as they asked me that in the chat, because I was like, it's because it's VR, and it's like there's so many different effects going on with a wave and draw distance and like everything like that. It's gonna be really tough to do something like that, unless, like you said, somebody figures out a way to get that done a bit easier and less taxing, right, on the GPU and stuff.
100%. And like when people say they want waves, it's because they want like what's in Sea of Thieves, where you have to like fight the waves in order to get like up over it, and if you
Yeah.
don't, like you take on water. So like if you think about like what they're asking for, it's not that they actually want like the waves themselves, it's that they want more of a challenge to sailing, which is why
Yeah.
like we're trying to figure out how do we make sailing more fun, more engaging while you're going between islands and stuff
Yeah.
like that, right?
Hmm.
I mean, that's my theory. If I'm wrong, like call me out, guys. Like tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, and another thing people asked me was like in Sea of Thieves, where you get planks of wood and repair holes and stuff like that. Are you gonna? Because at the moment there is like a bucket of water. You put fires out, and if you don't put them all out, then your ship is destroyed and you die and you lose everything. So that's actually a challenge, and it's a good part of the game for me, because I don't want it to be too easy. You just respawn the island, you got all the loot and everything like that. So have you thought about repairing the ship and things? I'm sure you have. I mean, do you have anything planned?
So I've actually originally that's how I was going to do repairs. I was going to make it so that there was a below deck, and that you go down there and do repairs. But couple things happened. Actually, there's a rival dev who's making a very similar game to mine, and he does that in his game, right? Where you like put up wood and you like repair it and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that I found when I was trying out his game that I didn't want to have in my game was the separation from like the action, right?
Right.
It's like I'm like in his game when I played it as a single player, my ship would take damage. I would have to go down under the whole ship, do repairs, and while I would do that, I was taking damage up top. I couldn't shoot. I couldn't like react the way that I would want to quickly in like a situation like that. Like it would probably work better in a multiplayer experience, but I just didn't want that kind of separation. Like, and I love the idea of like when multiplayer comes to have everything on the top floor. Like you can't hide anything. I don't want there to be a below deck because I don't want people hiding their loot. Like I want when multiplayer comes around, people are going to see what they can take from you, and they might come and try and do that. And so you're going to have to defend yourself. And so that was another reason that I didn't really want to do a below deck, was because I wanted people to experience like, the like scaredness of having all this loot and knowing it's open for the whole world to see, and they might come and take it from you, but I've been thinking, like, I still think that like some kind of repairs could be interesting. Like I again, these are all just like thoughts that I've been having, but like I thought it would be kind of interesting, like if like your cannon gets shot, like you have to like repair your cannon, like that could be like very compelling gameplay. Or like like if your mast gets shot and falls over, like you have to crank it up and bring it back up, before you can start going again. I feel like repairing in that sense could definitely make it in the game, but I don't think I'm gonna do any kind of below deck kind of things, just because I don't want people separated like that from the action. I don't want them put away under the boat where like you are the repair guy, like go be a repair person, because that's how it is in Sea of Thieves. Like someone always has to be in the bottom doing repairs, and like that kind of sucks sometimes, because like you don't get to see stuff like passing by, you don't get to be a part of the action. Like you help and you feel like you're contributing to the crew, but you're so separate from everyone else. But I don't know. That's kind of my thoughts on that.
Yeah, that's scallywag life, right? When you start off at the bottom.
Yep. Yep.
And I think the game is going, from what I've seen, a lot of people are buying the game. And you did tell me with regards to multiplayer, there's some targets and stuff that you have in mind in order to implement multiplayer. Do you want to talk a bit more about that?
Yeah. So, like, in order to keep like myself alive for like another year, which like if I'd just be going solo on this if this were to happen, like I need at least like 5,000 downloads, you know.
Okay.
So 5,000 downloads is like right around like our minimum target, which like as of yesterday we already passed 1,000. So like
nice.
I feel like we're gonna hit that really quick.
Yeah.
I put like a couple of other goals. Like if I wanted to hire on like another developer to help me out, I'd have to hit somewhere in the range of like probably like 20 to 30,000 downloads.
Right. Yeah.
Which like I feel like I'll start getting those kind of numbers when like multiplayer is added. So I feel like I'm really shooting for that 5,000 goal because I feel like I can get a very basic version of multiplayer out on my own. But like we'll see, you know. I've got a lot of cool stuff happening in the background, talking to some important people. Not allowed to really like talk about it yet, but like potentially I might be getting some really cool help here. We'll see. But yeah, so like those are kind of like minimum goals, 5,000 downloads. To hire on more help and have more of a team, I'd need like, you know, 20 to 30,000. And then like if I wanted to start like a full-blown studio to probably get like AAA quality, like 100,000 downloads or more would get that for sure.
Okay. All right, that's good to know your targets and kind of where you are at the moment. What was your thoughts on a date for the full release? I know you did. I think you mentioned it before.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm planning on taking however much time it takes to get everything smoothed out and polished, right?
Yeah.
I'm not really planning on like adjusting the price until I get up to like full multiplayer support and whatnot. So it's going to be in early access probably for a while. But like I want that early access title for as long as possible because I want the community to know that like I'm taking their feedback, I'm trying to implement what they want and stuff like that. Yeah. So like I don't really have like a target release date. Like I just plan on adding stuff and taking community feedback and iterating until we get, you know, until it's good enough, I guess. I don't know.
I think that's a really good thing to do. I've had RFVR devs on here as well. They've actually done a free demo and it's 20 square kilometers, there's loads to do, and they did it because they just want people to buy the game because they like it. And then it's in early access as well, and they keep adding on to it, which is exactly the same thing you're doing, and they're listening to the feedback, and they're implementing a lot of stuff that the community wants, which is what you're doing, which is why I really like your game as well, because it's hard to get that with a big AAA game, because once it's out, bang, that's it. It's like, they don't have early access really, do they? They just come out.
Yeah, that's one of my beefs with like the gaming industry as a whole, as they release these games and they're like, you're gonna like it, you know. Like it just feels so one-sided. It's like, you know, like, here's your food, eat it, you know. Yeah. And like I don't want to be that. Like one of the things that was like the most disappointing thing to me is when they released the new Star Wars Battlefronts, and like they didn't listen to the community, you know. Like the old OG Star Wars Battlefront fans were just so disappointed by that, and I was one of them. Like I played Star Wars Battlefront growing up. That was one of the games I played at my grandma's house, and I was just like, when they released that game and it was so bad, like I was just like, dude, come on, you had such a good chance here and you just ruined it. And so that's been one of my things, is like, as a VR developer and a VR company and a gaming company, I will listen to my people.
Yeah, no, I totally get that, because at the end of the day, it's, if a game is made and just released and then that's it, like I said with the Battlefront games, you don't get a second chance unless you make a sequel, but then they don't listen again. So when you do the early access route and you do demos and all that kind of stuff, it's built around the community, for the community basically, isn't it? So
Exactly. And like I plan on Sail being a game that continues evolving and adapting, and I feel like having that expectation from the very beginning is just going to be the way to go.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's great that you got that relationship with the community. You also have a Patreon. Tell us about your Patreon and like the perks and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I do have a Patreon, and basically anyone who supports me gets access to what I call the Patreon exclusive builds. So the way that this works is depending on which tier you support me at, there's obviously like certain perks. A lot of them are going to be kind of like multiplayer cosmetics and whatnot. But I think I have for my top tier guys, they get to name an island. Ooh. So there's a couple guys who give me $100 a month. Like those two guys, you guys are goats. Thank you so much for your support. They're going to get to name their islands here soon once I figure out how to like display the names properly. But yeah, so like top tier, they're gonna get to name their own island, and then they also get like there's gonna be some cool cosmetics. I posted them on a couple of my social media.
Okay.
We have some really cool concept art for my Patreon supporters. That'll be like a skin they get in the game once we get multiplayer and get cosmetics and whatnot. So super excited for that. But the big thing is like these, like my Discord has gotten so big, and there's so many people giving feedback and whatnot. It's hard to separate the noise. And so like I talk a lot to my Patreon supporters, because like these are the people who not only bought my game but are like supporting me month to month because they believe in it so much, right?
Yeah.
And so like I talk to them a lot to figure out like, what do you guys think of this idea? You know, like all the ideas that I've like talked to you about, I'm pretty sure I've ran past them and said like, what do you guys think? What do you guys want? And then, you know, they get to test stuff out first and foremost. So like, you know, like I'm working on, one of the things I want to work on is a like an obstacle course island where there's like a treasure chest at the end of like an obstacle course. So I have this volcano island built where inside of the volcano there's a chest on one of the platforms, and you have to climb up and go onto one of those platforms and open the chest and you'll get the loot, right? And they're gonna get to try that as soon as I can get through the long list of bugs that I have to work out. But yeah, so that's like the big thing for my Patreons is they're going to be the first to try anything, and they're going to vet things first. I'm going to ask them for feedback, and if they like it, I'll push it out to the rest of the community for them to try and stuff like that. So that's a big thing with Patreon is like they are my first like go-tos for feedback and suggestions and stuff like that. Like if you want to like give me suggestions, feedback, and want me for sure to hear it, like Patreon's the place to go and support me at.
Nice. So what's the minimum kind of Patreon? Is it just a few dollars or?
Yeah, so $3 is the minimum that you can do, and then it goes all the way up to 100. But I feel like most people do like the $5 and $10 support. So there's a 3, there's a 5, there's a 10, there's a 25, and then there's a 100, I think. So
cool. So if anyone wants to support the game, then you can jump on Patreon. There is a lot of people on the Discord, so I do get why it's hard for you to kind of separate the noise. It's even I've gone. Sorry.
No, like it's hard. Like, and I'm sure this is one of the reasons why like big companies have a hard time talking with like their people is because of this. So like I'm trying to figure out the best way of going about this now so that like when the game blows up, because it's gonna blow up, like I've got that already sorted out, you know. And so Patreon's been a really excellent way of going about that so far. I also have like on the Discord, I have like forms where people can like fill out a quick survey and tell me like, hey, here's my idea, or hey, here's a bug, and that's been really great as well to like getting that kind of feedback and stuff too. So yeah.
Nice. Well, you've made a Patreon believer of me today. There you go. Got yourself another Patreon.
Yeah.
So you said you got Discord and Twitter and things like that. Do you want to run just through all the channels you got on the best ways to catch you? I mean, I will link it all down below. Where's all the...
Sure. Yeah, so I'm obviously like Discord is one of the big ones. I'm on TikTok. That's another really big one that I have a pretty big following on. If you want embarrassing content, hit me up on TikTok. My social is RedTeam19VR, pretty much everywhere.
Yep.
YouTube, I have my YouTube channel as well where I post like devlogs and just like updates about the game and stuff like that. And then I'm on Instagram. That's probably the one I do spend the least amount of time on. Again, RedTeam19VR. And then let's see, what else? I think that's it. Like I'm on like the more professional ones too, like LinkedIn. You can hit me up there. We have a subreddit, SailVR, for like anyone who wants to share their content around, like share it on Reddit. We'd love to see it. But yeah, Discord's a big one. TikTok's the next one. YouTube, and I'm on Twitter, RedTeam19VR. So yeah, I'm pretty much on everything.
He's all over it. He's all over it, like rats on a ship. I think I'm going to link it all down below. I did want to ask you quickly, where does the name Red Team 19 come from?
It actually came from the community.
Okay.
I threw out a couple of names because I had to create, like, in the US, you have to create, like, a business entity, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, I was getting to the point where, I was starting to get, like, funds and a little bit of investment from some people and whatnot. And so, like, I needed to have, like, a business entity for tax purposes. And so I was like, okay, I got to come up with a name.
Yep.
And I was, like, throwing out stuff. And the number 19's always been special to me throughout my entire life. So, like, pretty much everything I own has 19. Like, my username is typically G119. Mm-hmm. And that comes from Halo, right? Because Spartan 117 is John, Master Chief. And so I figured, like, I'm Spartan 119, like, that's me. And so, like, 19's always been special. So 19 comes from that. And then Red Team, my original major in college was actually cybersecurity. And in cybersecurity, there's this thing called a Red Team where they try to be the bad guy and break your systems and hack them before, like, real hackers and stuff do that, so that they can, prevent that in the future, right? So I was like, I thought that was such a cool concept of, like, being the bad guy. And then obviously, like, red versus blue, you got, like, red team versus blue team, like all those classic, like, shorts and, like, TV show and whatnot. So I just felt right with gaming and whatnot. So Red Team 19, here I am.
There you go. Because I always wondered the name of the studio, but more was your actual name on Discord. And then when you came on, we were chatting and stuff for about 20, 25 minutes, and then we're just about to start filming this, and I was like, do you know what is your actual name? So yeah,
I feel like that's how it is, man.
Yeah.
Especially in gaming and stuff, it's like, I know you use surgical gaming, right? But
yeah, I mean, that's how professional my podcast is. I don't even know people's names when I get them on here. Is there anything you want to, anything else you want to say about the game, or like to any budding people that are thinking about of getting into game development and anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, like, if you want to do like game development, just try it. Like, seriously, my first demo of my game was a ship sailing backwards, and 250 people said they believed in it, and 2 years later it's my full-time job, and like I'm a much better game developer than I was a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, just try it, like just go for it. Like I didn't go to school for this, like my degree taught me how to run servers. Like, I've pretty much learned everything on my own. So, like, you can do it. Like, trust me, you can do it. Google is an amazing place to learn things. So just try it. If anyone's wants to try it. You'll get there, I promise. It's so fun.
Yep, there you go. You heard him. Some inspirational words there from Mr. Garrett. So, everybody, if you've got any questions, let us know in the comments about the game or anything like that. I'm going to link all his Discords and everything down below. I just want to say, Garrett, thank you very much for coming on. I really enjoyed talking to you. I love the game. I'm going to continue playing it. I'm going to continue streaming it, and I'm going to support it and get onto your Patreon as well.
Yeah.
So it's been great meeting you, and everybody else. If you enjoyed the content, please consider liking and subscribing for future podcasts. I plan on basically every Sunday at 4 p.m. I'll release a new episode. So yeah, check it out. Right, thank you very much, my Discord twin from another mother. There's a virtual handshake. Thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, Discord for life. See you next time. Bye.